Is everyone okay for us to go ahead and record this in case somebody wants to watch it later? Okay, great. Go ahead and hit record, Vanessa.
Perfect for recording, April.
Thank you. So tax season is here now, and we're super excited to bring some information to everyone today and talk a little bit about VITA, Earned Income Tax Credit, and Working Families Tax Credit. Because tomorrow is the Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Day. So we've been doing a number of outreach activities this week. So today I'll be presenting as well as Mark, and Mark will be interviewed twice during this meeting. And we'll have some questions for him, but if any of you have questions during this presentation, please feel free to put it in the chat. And if we don't get to them by the end of the meeting, we'll definitely get back to you. So on the left, you can see on the 28th, we did a ribbon cutting event celebrating our new VITA site at the Renton Library, and also about Earned Income Tax Credit awareness and Working Families Tax Credit awareness. And then today's virtual symposium. And then tomorrow we're going to be at the Mariner Library in Everett, and we'll have refreshments from 10 to 3. And it's also a tax day there. So we're going to be doing tax appointments, and we already have a number of people scheduled. I think 8 or 9 people have already booked appointments for tomorrow. So if you're in the area and you'd like to stop by and say hi to us in person, please go ahead and do that. It would be great to see you. So these are the topics that I will cover today, all about VITA, and then we'll interview Mark, how to find VITA sites and a VITA locator, how to book appointments with us in our sites, and then about Working Families Tax Credit and Earned Income Tax Credit, then interview Mark again, and talk about our EITC application services and our free virtual tax prep. So a lot to cover, but we'll break it up with the interviews. So just about PIM Savvy, it was founded in 2017, and we specialize in bringing services to the community, focusing on King and Snohomish counties. We're passionate about helping immigrants and refugees and people with low income. And VITA is our biggest program, and this is our 3rd year of running VITA sites. We grew from 1 site the first year, we had 2 last year, and now this year we have 4, plus virtual tax prep and EITC services. So what does VITA stand for? It's Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. And it's been around for over 50 years, and many people still don't know about it and how they could save money on using the VITA services. And it offers free basic tax return preparation to qualified taxpayers. And you might wonder, well, who qualifies? So it could be a little bit different from VITA site to VITA site, but our to qualify for our services, it's $79,000 a year or less. It doesn't matter if it's individual or a joint return, or if somebody has a disability, or if they have limited English. So it does not, if they have limited English or a disability, they can make more than $79,000 a year and still use the services. So now let's ask Mark some questions. I'm going to stop sharing. So Mark, why is VITA important to the community?
Well, like you noted, those who qualify, like those who have low income or speak English as a second language or that sort of thing, we offer, or VITA offers, free services to prepare taxes, and the IRS itself recognized how difficult tax returns can be, so they created VITA like 50 years ago. If this free service didn't exist, folks, of course, could utilize services like H&R Block or TurboTax or whatever, or they could go to a tax preparer. But those services are often expensive. They're, $100 to $500 for federal tax prep. We've seen folks who've had their federal taxes prepared by others, and those folks can sometimes charge an additional $200 to $300 just to get help with the Washington family's tax credit, which we'll be talking about shortly. So I think the VITA program, which I'd never heard of until we started doing it a few years ago, is a great and often unknown resource.
Thank you, Mark. Can you share a success story about how VITA helped an individual or family?
Yeah, there are a couple. My favorite one is a gentleman who had a stroke or some sort of event, neurologic event, maybe 5 years ago or something, and walked into a library and somehow communicated that they couldn't do taxes. The library called us and gave him directions, and he's able to process information, but has a difficulty communicating information. And we finally got to realize he was just trying to have taxes done for like the last 3 or 4 years and just couldn't figure it out. So he didn't have his paperwork and all that stuff, but we were able to get him to go get that stuff, bring it back, and a guy who had limited ability to communicate, we were able to help him file his taxes and get thousands of dollars in returns over a number of years. One of the things I did understand that was great was that he actually had a stimulus check from 2020 and insisted that he wasn't going to accept it because that president, who was again the president, was a bad man. And well, we were able to convert that to a tax return, so he got his money, and he didn't have to get it from the bad man because it was from the current administration. So it was a great thing, and he actually had to come back a few times, but we helped him, and he finally came back and expressed such great gratitude, and it felt really good to help this guy.
Thank you, Mark. So what would you say are some of the biggest challenges that people with low income or immigrants face when filing taxes?
I guess some of those answers we sort of covered earlier. I mean, taxes are complicated, and especially if you don't speak English. And there's so much to know about them in terms of what you might be eligible for in terms of credits or that sort of thing. It's also intimidating to try and you do it yourself, like online, or to find a tax preparer. And the VITA services and our particular service of PIM Savvy helps address those things. Folks with low incomes can't afford to spend $500 on tax prep, and we're able to help do that for free. And immigrants who have a hard time speaking English, I mean, it's hard enough to get through a tax return when you speak English, and can you imagine how hard it would be if you spoke English as a second or third language? I think VITA, and again, not to just pump up PIM Savvy, but we offer a number of ways to overcome those challenges.
Thank you. So this year, Mark, you were able to do a number of training sessions to help the VITA volunteers. Can you explain about the qualifications that people need or certifications to be a VITA volunteer?
Well, there's different levels of volunteers. I mean, some folks come and volunteer just to greet and help introduce people to the area and give them paperwork that they need to fill out. And in fact, we have a couple of volunteers who are 12 and 13 years old. Those would be our kids, and they're official VITA volunteers. They passed the standards and ethics tests, which is the first test you have to pass. We don't quite feel comfortable having them volunteer to do the federal taxes themselves, but for those who are able to, there's a basic tax prep certification. There's an advanced tax prep certification. All those educational materials are actually provided by the IRS. Those things are available online, and we have folks like Laura, who's online with us today, and Vanessa and Mo and Yang, and actually our whole team, but who can help people, guide people to figure out what tests you can pass and how you can join us in our quest to help folks get their maximal tax returns and just help them do something that everyone has to do pretty much.
Thank you, Mark. And one last question, can you please explain about the language services that are available to clients who come to our VITA sites or any VITA sites?
Yeah, well, the IRS themselves actually provide a language service, over the phone interpretation, or OPI, that we can try and hook up to, which we've used a few times in the past, quite a few times. But we have incredible tax preparers on our team, and often at our sessions we're able to offer language support in Spanish or Mandarin or Ukrainian or Russian. We've also had folks who speak Dari. We've had folks who spoke Cambodian. I can't remember exactly what that language variation was, but we've had folks who spoke Hindi. And just because of their generosity and their willingness to join us. So for a lot of folks, they can come in and get live translation, and it's been really valuable, and it's really helpful for our folks to have somebody in person who can help provide those services right then and there.
Thank you, Mark. So I'll have some more questions for you a little bit later on in the meeting. So we'll dive in now to a few more slides. Now I'd like to share with you our 4 different sites that we have planned for this year, and one of them already opened. And I'll get to that in a moment. So our first one here is the Renton Library, and we'll be there starting February 7th for not quite every Friday, but a number of Fridays. You can see on the flyer on the right. And we'll be there open to close for the library hours, 10 to 6. And people can book appointments there or any of our locations going to pimsavvy.com/VITA. And we're super excited to have this new partnership with the Renton Library. There's a really big space right by the river, lots of windows, and there's going to be lots of opportunity for us to have many tax stations there. And this is our Renton office. This is where it all started. And we'll have tax events there for the 3rd year in a row. And we're turning this location into focusing on our ITIN application and renewal appointments. And those also involve tax prep, but these, because there's 2 components to it, the tax prep and the ITIN application, they take a little bit longer. So that's why we're deciding to kind of put these appointments all together at this location. But it does not mean that we're not doing ITIN services anywhere else. In fact, we are having many other ITIN appointments at our other events all throughout King and Snohomish counties. And then our virtual tax prep will all be from this location. And we can help people. We're not limiting it right now to saying you have to be in King and Snohomish County to use the virtual service. But if we get too many from Eastern Washington and it's too much to handle, then we will limit it to only King and Snohomish County. We're definitely not doing virtual for out-of-state tax returns. And then the Carl Gibson Center, this will be our 2nd year having our VITA site there, and we'll be there 11 consecutive Mondays starting this coming Monday. And if it was like last year, every one of those Mondays was a very busy. We have about 20 or so appointments booked every day, and all the way through the end of February, everything is booked there. It's a very popular location, and people can go ahead and make appointments. We have a lot still available, and we might even add a little bit longer hours a couple days if we find that we need some more appointments, because we're able to do that, stay a little bit longer than 5 if needed. And then we're super excited to launch this VITA site at the Village on Casino Road. And we'll be there starting February 4th. A number of select Tuesdays, which you see on the flyer, from 9 to 4. And then on 2 days, we're going to be there about 12 hours until 8 o'clock. So there's lots of appointments available there still. And we have a very big room here at this location, thanks to the village. And we have plenty of spaces for many tax stations. So we're really excited to bring this service to the community there on Casino Road. And then in addition to all of those 4 locations, the IRS is fine with us doing what they call a special event or an ad hoc event. And that's where it's not a regular recurring place. It's just one here, one there. So we're able to bring these services to these 6 locations. And some of them we have, you know, just one event there, but some we have 5 at the Mukilteo Library. We were there last year. We're going to be there again 5 days throughout the tax season. So this list changes every year as we talk to new partners, and we actually start planning for the tax season in June. And that's how we're able to, you know, work out all of the locations that we're going to be. We're super excited about Bellevue Mini City Hall. We have regular recurring office hours there at, you know, bringing financial coaching, and it's going to be great to bring the free tax prep services there too. And this is our landing page, pimsavvy.com/VITA. And when people come to that page, there's toggle buttons to go to Spanish, Ukrainian, and Dari, so they can actually see the whole page in those languages and book their appointment. We also provide over the phone, text, email support in English and Spanish, and lots of different ways depending on how people like to book their appointment or ask questions. And we have a flyer for our virtual tax preparation, which we're launching tomorrow. We have everything lined up. They'll sign their documents via DocuSign. And we have about 20 people who've already expressed interest in this. And it's still really early in the tax season, so we're really excited to see where this will go. And then the tax years that we can help people with go all the way back to 2019. So we can, you know, if it's, some of them have to be, the older ones have to be paper filed, but we can still prepare them and print them out, and they can mail them to the IRS. But everything else will be e-filed. And then if they are eligible for the Working Families Tax Credit, we also e-file that directly to Department of Revenue at the same time we're transmitting to the IRS for the federal return. So it makes it very smooth for everybody. So there's many other organizations throughout the country, and definitely the state too, that offer free tax prep. VITA is one of the programs that the IRS has, but there's another program called Tax Credit for the Elderly, which stands for TCE, and many AARP sites are also, they're called TCE sites, but even though there's 2 separate programs at the IRS, we go through the same certification requirements and also serve people of all ages. So it's just a matter of how the organization decided to set up their program with the IRS. And to find every location in the area by zip code, the IRS has something called a VITA TCE locator tool on their website. And that's the web address that you can go to find that. And it's nice because you can just put in a zip code and then say if you want it to be 5 or 10 or 25 miles from there, hit the find button, and then it pulls up every location. And then you can look at the service details to see if it's, you know, if you need to make an appointment, or you can just show up. And the IRS is updating this on a regular basis throughout tax season and beyond. During tax season, they're updating it on a bi-weekly basis. So look at it often and see what changes. And it shows the opening and closing date of each site. There's lots of great information on this tool. So now we're going to talk about the Working Families Tax Credit and the Earned Income Tax Credit. And since I've been talking for a while, let's do an interview. I'll stop sharing. Mark.
Yes.
So, how does Washington's working families tax credit differ from the federal earned income tax credit?
Well, in some ways they're similar. I think you'll probably present some information on this later, right? The earned income tax credit is a federal tax credit that is tied to the federal tax return. And the Washington Working Families Tax Credit, or WFTC, is a state Washington refund of sales tax. There are some similarities to think about. They're both a sliding scale based on how much you make and how many dependents you have. For instance, I think that the maximum WFTC amount refunded is like $300 or $400 for a single person, and up to almost $1,300 for a family with 3 dependents. So that number will vary, but there are separate processes. I mean, like I said, earned income tax credit is tied to federal tax return, and the WFTC, or Working Families Tax Credit, is a separate application process entirely. And like we noted before, some tax preparation services will charge you separately for doing a federal tax return and an additional amount for the Working Families Tax Credit. In order to get the earned income tax credit on your federal tax return, you have to have a Social Security number for you and for your kids. Whereas for the Washington Working Families Tax Credit, folks with ITINs, or individual tax identification numbers, are eligible, as well as their kids. So the eligibility criteria is broader for the Working Families Tax Credit.
Thank you, Mark. Are there specific efforts to reach immigrant communities and non-English speakers and underserved populations for both of these tax credits? Can you talk about what PIM Savvy is doing?
Yeah, I mean,
And
in general, even the IRS creating the VITA program in and of itself is a great support for folks who are eligible. And like I said, they've been doing this for 50 years, and they have a great their spec and their service to support VITA is really great. And the folks who've been helping us, Kim and Deborah, I know you guys don't know them, but they've been fantastic. The state of Washington themselves has a support system through the Department of Revenue and the Department of Commerce. They've actually provided support for us and for other folks to get the word out. And we think it's fantastic that they're actually providing financial support, as well as a website and materials to get the word out. The IRS also has authorized us to be acceptance agents to help people get ITINs, so they can pay their taxes legally and be eligible for the WFTC. PIM Savvy ourselves, we do a lot of cool things, including creating flyers, posters, social media, blogs, newsletters. We do live presentations in person as well as webinars like we're doing now. There are certain areas where we do live tabling. We have phone customer service. We also answer texts in English and Spanish and Mandarin. We answer emails, and it's great. We actually, over the last 3 years that we've been doing this, I think we've actually measured that we've reached hundreds of thousands of folks for the various things that we've been doing on YouTube and Facebook and the live tabling measures, and it's great. We're able to get the word out and help people in person.
thank you, Mark. One more question. For Working Families Tax Credit, can you please talk about what the application process looks like?
The application process, there's a number of different ways to do it. I mean, folks can do it themselves by going to the website and getting the paper application. They can there's actually ways to do your federal taxes yourself and the WFTC application yourselves, but I would probably estimate that doing it yourself would probably take 3 or 4 hours, speaking English as a first language and with some experience. You can go to a tax preparer and help them or have them help you do it, and you can do that online or in person. So that process will probably be a couple of hours. You can come to a VITA site, like the ones that we offer at PIM Savvy throughout King and Snohomish counties. I'm guessing that will probably take a couple of hours for the WFTC and for the federal tax return process. If folks have already done the federal taxes, they can come to PIM Savvy site, or they can do things online, and that'll probably take about an hour or so. Once you're actually able to get all those things submitted, the federal tax return probably takes 3 to 4 weeks, and I'm not sure exactly how long the WFTC takes. I mean, I think they quote like 2 to 3 months, but it takes longer than the federal tax return, certainly. But yeah, that's kind of what the process looks like and how long it takes to receive the credit. Both the IRS and the Working Families Tax Credit folks have websites where you can check on the progress and the status of your application.
Thank you so much, Mark. That was very helpful. So let's dive into a little bit more about those 2 tax credits. I'll go ahead and share my screen again. As Mark mentioned, the Working Families Tax Credit tax refund, the maximum is $1,290 for Washington workers. And applicants do have 3 years to claim. So what's nice is we were able to help people claim 2 years last year if they were finding out about it for the first time. And this year, we fully expect that there'll be many people that will find that they have not claimed it for the last 2 years, so we can actually help them claim 3 years, which will be a nice amount for people to get 3 additional amounts from Department of Revenue in addition to their federal return. And we do have a page on our website that has more information about this, pimsavvy.com/WFTC. And then on the right, you can see one of our postcards. We just got thousands of postcards delivered to us, and we bundle them and we mail them out through the USPS with their program where they can target routes with certain zip codes, low-income average zip codes. So we find certain mail routes that we want to have these postcards sent out to, and then we go bring them to that post office. So we do this across King and Snohomish counties. And on the back side of it, it talks all about VITA and how to find it, talks about the VITA locator. And there are many people who come into our site with this postcard in hand and say, I found out about it because I got this in the mail. So it is definitely one of our great outreach methods. So this is the chart. You can see if somebody is single with no qualifying children, they can earn a maximum refund of $325. And every year for inflation, Department of Revenue does come out with a new chart. So this is the one for last year's, so for tax year 24. And that's just a snapshot of their actual flyer. And the flyer that Department of Revenue has is available in 13 languages. And, we do bring those flyers out when we're tabling and to our events. We make sure that we have it available because while we're doing their taxes, we show them this flyer and then we say, oh, it looks like you do qualify. So we'll go ahead and complete that application. And so we keep them informed so that they know, to watch for a separate direct deposit or a check, depending on what they would like. So now the earned income tax credit is what the Working Families Tax Credit is modeled after. So it's really to help low to moderate income workers get a tax break. And many times we've helped people claim all the credits that are due to them, and it makes a huge difference in their lives. Tax season is a time that maybe they can get a big refund and pay off debts, or just try to get ahead for the year. And if somebody does qualify for earned income tax credit, we talk about all of the credits that they might be eligible for and make sure that we explain it to them and show them when we're reviewing their tax return, how their refund is calculated, and, so that they can see that we've claimed everything that they're eligible for. So these are just a few of the images that we've used on social media, just promoting the earned income tax credit, because it is such a huge deal to promote it, because people go in and out of eligibility of this all, year to year. So if people are eligible for maybe the earned income tax credit, but they don't need to file because they maybe made under the threshold amount and the IRS says you don't have to file. But if they did file, they might get earned income tax credit because it's a refundable tax credit. So they might even get more than they paid into it. And then if they get earned income tax credit, they probably also are eligible for working families tax credit. So every year we try to up, what we're doing in terms of promoting earned income tax credit. And we're so happy that all of you are here today to learn about it, more about this awareness week. And I think it's extra special because it's the 50th anniversary. It's the 19th annual earned income tax credit, and it's actually tomorrow is the day, but this whole week has been, all throughout the country, people are talking about it. And you can see that the average earned income tax credit amount in Washington is a little over $2,000, so it's a big amount. And only 80% of eligible workers claim it. So even though this has been 50 years in the making, 20% of the people still don't claim it and just leave the money. And for working families tax credit, it's 51% of eligible workers are claiming it. So it's amazing that it's 51% after just a couple of years. And but as I was mentioning, because it's turning over every year, that people really need to consider every year to see if they do qualify. And we can help people if they're not comfortable with figuring it out on their own. So now I'd just like to share a little bit about our new service. We've already helped a number of people because we opened up our site on January 24th at our Renton office, and we've already mailed in 4 I-10 applications, and we have a list of people who are already fill out the form that they want to get the service. So Vanessa's been scheduling all these appointments, and just in case you're not aware, an I-10 is a 9-digit number that the IRS issues. So if somebody does not have a Social Security number and they're not eligible to get one, in order for them to pay their taxes, they get an I-10. And the IRS will not issue an I-10 unless there's a reason to issue it. So that's why the federal tax return goes along with the application, and we actually can help them with both. We'll do their taxes and their I-10 application at the same time, and then we mail it to the office in Texas and it gets processed, and we're able to stay in the loop. The IRS will send us the communication that they send to the client, so we're able to help them if there's any following up questions that they need. And we're certifying acceptance agents, which means that we're able to actually certify the original documents that the client brings to us so that they do not have to mail their original birth certificate and passport to the IRS. And that is huge, to allow them to, just bring it in, we'll review everything and sign off on it. And the IRS has approved for us to do that. So it's going to be great to see how many people we can serve, because if they do get their I-10, then they also can claim the working families tax credit if they're eligible for that. So there's only 2 VITA sites in all of Washington offering these services. One is in Vancouver, and then we're here in King and Snohomish counties. And we help them complete the Form W-7, and we return their documents at the end of the appointment, and we mail their package to the IRS, and all of that is for free. So there are many people out there that are acceptance agents, and many people who even, CPAs and lawyer offices, they might also be providing this service, but it won't be free. So that's what the IRS really wants more VITA sites to offer this. So both us and Ren Locus, who's also another working families tax credit grantee, we both got certified at the same time to offer this, and we're really excited to see how many people we can help with this. And then we have a flyer for the ITIN services, and we have this in English and Spanish, and we're getting it out through our partners. Many partners who are on this call today are sharing all these flyers that we put together, and driving people to our events and to our pages to sign up for these services. And that brings us to the end. I just wanted to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy day to learn about this, and we have time for questions. And I just wanted to say that if any of you would like the slides, we can email them to you. If you wanted to email or text us, we can send you a PDF of the slides, and there's many hyperlinks in there. And we have some additional information in the appendix that we can also leave in there for you too. And I think now we can stop the recording, Vanessa, and I'll stop sharing. And then if anyone has any questions or comments, we're happy to address them. We have 20 minutes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one of the things I didn't get to mention during our brief interview with all the work that April has done to put all these events together, and then the numerous community organizations. There's too many to mention, but the partnerships that we and PIM Savvy and April's developed with organizations like the King County Library, the Renton and Federal Way branches where we have events, the Snow Owls libraries like the Mukilteo and Mariner branches, the Volunteers of America, who have scheduled like over 100 clients over the next few weeks, and we're going to be assisting with Ukrainian translation. We have events in conjunction with the Village at Casino Road, and a lot of that's going to be with Spanish translation assistance. The Carl Gibson Center, where many of our events are, and with combination with Volunteers of America, where we have Ukrainian and Russian translations. We're going to have partnership with the Iraqi Community Center, where we'll have translation services as well. The Latin Educational Training Institute, I think Vanessa may be doing something with them live in a few weeks. The Workforce Nahomish, I know you guys are on. So I just wanted to call that out and note that part of the reason we're able to reach so many is because we have such great organization and partners that help us.
And Bellevue Mini City Hall too. I know Rama's on the call. Yeah, we're thankful for so many partners, and even partners who we had tax events last year. The YWCA and White Center, we had a number of events. So, sometimes it doesn't work out to, have events at every location every year. But then what's great is all these hundreds of partners that we meet through various ways and network and share flyers. They're eager to share our flyers to all of our events if they're not able to host a tax event at their site. So we couldn't do all this work without all the partners that we meet and collaborate with. And it's all a community effort for helping the people, the priority populations that we're all serving. Thank you, Mark, for bringing all that up. That's so important. Okay, so are there any questions in the chat?